Brent, at what point do we stop blaming the market and start self-auditing our own best practices and what we're doing inside of our staffing and recruiting firms?
Yesterday, immediately. You control the controllables more than people will ever think, and using the blame game will never work in your favor.
Why do you think then the industry is so quick to jump to new tools, new tactics? This isn't working, that isn't working. Why do we look outward instead of inward first?
Yeah, because I think people are very reactive, right? So they don't usually understand the basics that go into mastering the process. There are a lot of things that from a desk, from a day-to-day standpoint, that you can actually control. The formula is very simple: outputs and inputs. And those are two things that are at the control of everybody's little fingers. So you can look into all the next AI tools, all the shortcuts, all the hacks, all the coaching, all the podcasts, all the books. No one is going to sit at the desk for you and type an email, send out a message, or pick up the phone. Those are three basic things that are recruiting 101 that will never go away.
I was on stage a couple weeks ago in Nashville, and I have a slide from, I'm a big fan of the Modern Wisdom podcast. And a couple episodes ago, Chris was talking about how you need to measure inputs, outputs, and outcomes. And too often we close the loop at output and we don't think about the outcomes. We don't look at, well, what did I actually achieve? And then either punt the things that aren't working or double down on the things that are. Right? The inputs and outputs are great, but ultimately, what are we achieving from it?
Yeah. And I think too, a lot of times, I've said this many, many times over the years, I think the reason that recruiters get emotional and they get on the roller coaster and the hamster wheel here is because they really never have enough in the pipeline. When you have 10 things cooking at once and one or two fall off, which we know is going to happen to everybody, you don't feel it. When you have two things and you go back to zero, all of a sudden it messes with your confidence. It messes with your self-belief. You start to revert it, like I said, backwards. And then that is where people mess up. You have to have more cooking at all times than people assume.
What prevents that? I mean, obviously, I think everyone would want to have things in the pipeline, but we don't all have the 10 to 15 items in the pipeline. So we have those 2 to 3. And yeah, you feel those hurt more.
I think they assume deals are going to happen. Yeah. I think that they think that they cash that check before the person's even gotten the offer.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to understand there is a process to this game, from touch one to getting them in the process, to managing the client, to getting to the offer. And what you have to remember, no matter how quick and efficient you are, from phone call one to start date to actually getting paid is probably 6 to 8 weeks. So when you have that mindset, what you're doing now, you're going to feel the end of June or July. And so you have to be able to put in the work without the immediate results. And just like anything, plant the seeds. The more seeds you plant, the more fruit will reap. But you have to do more than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, it's that whole keep showing up mentality, right? It's the day after day. What do I do to put in the pipeline today that fuels 3 to 6 months from now, right? It's the, I just went through a marathon build and a marathon prep. It's a 21-week build for one race, right? So it's 21 weeks in the Buffalo winter, started in December. It was minus 20 some runs were minus 10, got really cold in Buffalo. But it's how do I put in the work in December and January so that when I show up Memorial Day weekend, I'm in the best possible shape that I can be in. And I think we lose that mindset when it comes to business because we want the quick hitting wins. We want the instant gratification. We want the immediate what's going to happen today. And it's just not there.
No, everything has a trailing 30 to 60 days, right? So all the app and all the activities and all the phone calls. And you have to remember, we are helping somebody make a move, make a transition. Now we're entering the summer months, which make it even more kind of complicated with schedules, and people have kids off of school. They have summer camps they got to drop off. They don't really want to make a move. They have vacations, weddings, bachelor parties. Life is going to happen no matter what, but you cannot get sucked into that. And again, you have to play offense, not defense. It would be real easy to check out. No one's going to hire in June and July. Let me just pause. Well, the minute that you pause and you take your foot off the gas, that's not just this summer that you're going to feel it. You're going to lose all your momentum going into Q3 and Q4.
So what do you say to the person that is considering that pause right now, right? That is saying, woe is me. It's a tough market. It's a tough time. My clients aren't hiring. It's just a tough time to be in staffing and recruiting in Buffalo, New York right now.
I don't believe it and doesn't resonate with me in any capacity because, again, you can control the outcomes. You can control who you reach out to for business development. You can control if you're getting new jobs and opportunities. You can control the amount of people that you reach out to, even if it's not about an immediate role. In recruiting, you are a professional shoulder tapper. It's all timing. I have placed people that I spoke to 7 years ago. You have to be top of mind. You have to be on their radar. You have to be the one that they think of when it's their time to raise their hand and be like, hey, maybe I do want to sniff around. So this is a 24/7 game that you can never take your foot off the gas, because I can promise you, there is somebody who is more hungry, more willing to put in those reps, and is not doing that. So if you want to make it easier for someone to surpass you, go ahead and do that. If you want to play at a big level, and I'm not talking about making 100 grand from a kitchen table. If you want to win at a big level, be a 7-figure biller, do you think these people take their foot off the gas and brakes? I can assure you they don't.
When you think about what makes somebody truly elite at their desk, when you think about what somebody is doing differently, right? So it's keeping your foot on the gas, it's having the right systems in place. I love the thought of we are, I think you said, professional shoulder tappers. Where does AI, where do tools come in to help that?
I think that it can expand that. I think that it can automate some things, surely, because if you're using just LinkedIn Recruiter, like most of us do, right?
Yeah.
It's very manual. You take on a search, you find the people you like, you send an email, you're at the mercy of them responding. There are tools that are out there now where you can say, hey, these are the 50 people I want to reach out to, and then set up some kind of structure where it can be like, hey, contact 1 is going to be X, contact 2 is Y, contact 3 is Z, and then structure that, space it out so it's automatically pushing that stuff out. I think that's going to be the next evolution, because our job, all we want to do, myself included, I just want to be on the phones. I just want to be on the phone, having discussions, having conversation, understanding where somebody is without an agenda all the time. I still think too many recruiters are pitching too fast. You don't know enough about the person on the other end to assume that they're the perfect position for the perfect company. That's insulting. But I can have a conversation with them, find out what they're doing. If they were hypothetically to make a move, what would they be looking for? If I have that right now, great. If not, stay top of mind on my radar and yours, and then we'll cross that bridge when we come across it.
That makes you more of a career coach than some sort of transactional partner, right? Or vendor. Not even partner's the wrong word, vendor.
I call it a talent advisor. My job is to assess and understand what is going on in the market. What are companies looking for? What are the needs? From the candidate standpoint, what would you be looking for selfishly in your career? And that's the key word. I want to help someone find a career, not a job. I'm not a job placement firm. I don't take people from open to work. I don't take people that are unemployed and try to get them in a seat. Companies use us and pay a very big premium to bring them the best of the best, bring them something that maybe they couldn't find on their own. This is a mindset you have to have as well. I am elite. I am a sniper. The person I want is probably working for somebody else. I have to navigate them through that process. And this company is paying, in essence, a sign-on bonus to get high-performing, high-caliber people. The question as a recruiter you want to ask, is that actually what I'm handing to the market? Is that what I'm showing to my client? Or am I just showing some people that have been on the bench for a while? And here you go. Tell me if this aligns. There's a difference between a 7-figure biller and somebody who's just trying to get a couple bucks plugging in some seats. You have to approach things differently.
How'd you develop this mindset? I mean, it seems like you've had this forever. Has it always been that way?
No, back to the wall. I think early on, I started from nothing. I think that's what resonates with a lot of recruiters. I started out of a bedroom from nothing. No agreements, no website, no contracts, no pipeline, no dollars, nothing. So I knew that I had to deliver a very high product to get paid. That's all business is. You are paid in direct proportion to the value that you bring to the marketplace, whatever the industry is. If you solve little problems, you get little dollars. If I solve big problems and get known and create an identity around that person brings me some killers, I will be rewarded for a long time because of that. So a lot of it has to do with an identity shift and how you portray yourself internally, and then you'll see it externally.
You think the industry has an identity crisis?
I think there's no barrier to entry, and I think there's a lot of mediocrity, but people are okay being average. It's very noisy. It's very busy. There are only I don't want to say a few, because there's a lot of people that play this at a very elite level. and they have a brand, they have an identity, they have testimonials, and they are known as a partner, not a vendor. They're not doing everything on a contingent basis for a low fee, because if the company views you as that, you're done. They're going to treat you accordingly. If your identity is around, wow, this is the best of the best. They understand our industry. They understand our niche. They understand our city and our market and all these things. I can then demand a little bit more better terms on an agreement or whatever. So it always starts with internally how you conduct yourself, carry yourself, present yourself, and never forget this in recruiting. You are what you show. You are what you show. If I show C players, that's my identity and what I'm known for. If I show unemployed people, that's kind of what people are going to assume. When you submit candidates to companies, if they question you, you're done. They should look, when they get your email, at the person that you send and be like, set it up, because you've built that trust, rapport, and identity that you only show the best of the best. If they question you, it's game over.
I had Whitby on the show a little while ago, and he talked about his signature solution that he also, always tries to craft for the industry. And one thing that he mentioned that has stuck with me since is that too often staffing and recruiting firms go to market comparing apples to apples. We all sort of do the same thing, and we compete at the bottom because we're competing on apples to apples. But if you can have a signature solution, and now you're going to market with oranges, it's a completely different game. Because when you can pitch your fee, whatever it is, I think you called it a sign-on bonus, which I loved, or a startup bonus, whatever fee, whatever it might be. That to me, if you're going to market with oranges to your client, you're playing a completely different game. You're in a completely different bracket. You can have completely different conversations.
Hey, a quick pause before we get back to the show, because this is something every staffing leader needs to hear. Most staffing firms are spending a lot on benefits and still only covering about half of their workforce. That's exactly why I like what my friends at Benefits in a Card are doing. Instead of forcing owners into expensive, bundled health plans, they offer unbundled benefits designed for high turnover workforces. Things like free prescriptions through their free RX program, dental, vision, virtual urgent care, and supplemental coverage with no deductibles. The result? You can offer benefits to 100% of your workforce, control costs, and actually improve retention. If benefits have felt like a losing game, check out my friends at benefitsinacard.com and schedule a quick unbundled benefits review. Again, that's benefitsinacard.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, and I think like the new thing like that I'm seeing more and more, and even we're doing it as a company, is what I'm going to call an engagement fee. Really you have contingent, you have retained, but I think the new thing is like an engagement fee. I just want buy-in from the company. I want to know that you're serious. I want to know that you're looking at me as a partner, again, not a vendor, not focused on price, because you get what you pay for. Yep. Companies need to hear that as well. You get what you pay for. If somebody's hassling you over 10, 12, 15, 20%, that's already where their mindset is. They're not looking at you as, again, a proper extension of their company and team that can bring them something they can't get on their own. And that's something, Brad, I preach to our team. Is this somebody the company could find without us? Is this somebody that they would pay a premium and a big fee for? If the answer is no, I'm not showing.
How do you get to a point where please continue.
Yeah, it's black and white. I mean, there's no gray area in that, because again, that becomes your identity and what you get known for in the market. I don't think people are selective and picky enough about what they're putting their name behind. You are what you show.
Do you think that lies in desperation? That lies in just the market is tough, so we start to just sort of grasp at straws. We grasp for air. We take any order we can. We try to make any placement we can.
You don't think I've been there? You don't think that I pay these dues, that I needed a deal? But in recruiting, the formula is very simple. The company has to win, the candidate has to win, and we win last. You have to take care of those two areas first and foremost. The minute you put yourself ahead of it, it's game over. I need a deal. I need commissions. I'm trying to put a square into a circle. I'm pushing things through. Those deals are never going to work. So again, when you have enough things cooking, you can play from more of a relaxed yet intentional state as opposed to tight. Just because I need a deal doesn't mean the company needs that person or I'm truly helping the candidate out. I just need to feed my kids. That's never a good place to play from.
How important is personal mindset, personal development in all of this?
It's everything, because you have to come from a place, like I know myself especially, I expect to win. I expect to win. I'm actually more surprised when deals go sideways than when they don't, because I go into every call, every presentation, every client intake. Like, I know that we're going to do this. I know we're going to fill these seats. I know that I'm going to bring you a high caliber person. So again, that's just a constant mindset that I have, where I think a lot of people, there's a difference between being an amateur and a professional. I think amateurs are kind of like still celebrating when a deal happens. Like, oh, really? Wow, you got an offer? We're going to get this done. Professionals expect it. So I can remove emotion, because how I operate on a day-to-day basis is I expect these things to occur. I expect to do a number of placements. I expect to hit certain revenue marks. It's not new news to me. This is how I operate. And then we can get even deeper, because I actually reverse engineer everything. I come from a place, and I was taught this at a high level, that you have got to come from a place that this already happened. I already build out 2 million, 1 million, 750, and then I work away. Think how many people work towards. You operate differently, and then I can get real granular, because everything becomes a math equation at that point. But you operate at a different function.
I think that's what people miss. I think we look at, okay, it's almost June 1st, right? So it's a new calendar month. It's June 1st. What am I going to achieve this month? And I start grasping at the 30-day calendar, and I start thinking through, okay, what am I going to do that marches me closer to my goal? I think the majority of people listening are going to sit in that seat instead of the seat that you're in, with the mindset that you're in, saying, okay, if I want to bill $1 million this year, how do I reverse engineer that so that the work I put in June gets me closer?
Yeah, and here's the thing too. I don't focus on months. I focus on quarters.
Perfect.
I focus on quarters, because I think monthly is too hard, because there's too many moving parts between phone call one to start date to getting paid. But I can control the quarter. Let's just break this down. This is really going to be helpful to some people. Let's just use the million mark. It's very easy, right? 250 grand a quarter. That's my target. The number one number that you have got to get obsessed with, obsessed is the key word, is the average fee, because Brad, that dictates everything. Okay. Let's just use $250,000, and let's just say my average fee is $30,000, rough numbers, right? This is purely math. 250 divided by 30,000, all of a sudden is 8.33. There is not one recruiter that says I can't do 8 deals in a quarter, deals in 90 days. Does that sound like a lot? I always make these numbers smaller, not bigger. I don't focus on 250. I focus on the average fee. The higher I can get that fee, guess what? The lower the deals I have to do, the more realistic it gets. But over a 90-day block, those are not unrealistic. There should not be anybody who's listening to this who hasn't done before 8 deals in a quarter. If I can do it once, I can do it 100 times. But I have to understand I control that. That has nothing to do with fuel charge, with political issues, with wars, with what's going on in the world. I control that, but I also expect it to happen.
The quote from James Clear I love that says, if you want to win once, you set a goal. And if you want to win repeatedly, you set a system. I think too often we as an industry set a goal. I want to hit that 8.3 number that you're talking about this quarter. I'm not thinking about the system that enables me to do it also in Q3, enables me to do it in Q4. The goal is great, but so is also losing 10 pounds. But if I can't keep that off for long-term sustained health and wellness, what's the point?
So I'll get even more deeper, because everything I do is working away. You just ran a marathon, 20 miles. See, I don't go mile 1, mile 2, mile 3. You know what I do? Mile 25, mile 24, mile 22, 17, 13, 6 more, 4 more. I always work away, because my mind has already happened. I'm already done finish line. I can already see the metal around my neck. So I don't focus on going up to 250 a quarter. I'm down. So on every deal, I go from 250 down to 227, down to 186. I'm getting close, down to 72, down to 42. And all of a sudden, I'm more locked in because of that. Too many people are working up when I'm working away. And again, I've already hit that number mentally, or we can get even deeper, because I can associate what I want when I do hit that number. Now I start to invoke emotion and operate completely differently, because I have a why at the end of the how.
I mean, we do that in finances, right? If let's say you're 10 grand in debt, you're not thinking about how much you're putting towards it. You're thinking about how much is left. You're looking at the subtraction on it, right? So we're doing that day to day. At least that's what I would do.
Yeah.
why wouldn't we do that in business? Why wouldn't we have the same principles and best practices that we have in our everyday lives that we would have in business?
I'm telling you, I have taught this and I've taught it to so many people and they get it.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I want this visually in front of me at all times. I don't play loose. Offense versus defense. Very intentional. So again, I want these numbers in front of me so I can constantly make them smaller. I can even break it down to get 8 deals, okay, over a quarter. That's really 2.7. Let's call it 3. I would put 3 boxes in June, knowing that I have to put a name in each of those boxes. I placed John Smith, Sarah Jones, Billy Robinson. Guess what? Done. On to the next. I make numbers smaller, not bigger. Everyone just focuses on the 250 where I'm working away and just narrowing those lanes to dumb it down.
Yeah, I think it might be Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, where it's if you write down the goal and you can visualize it and you can conceptualize it every day, it helps make it easier. I know our CEO talks about it all the time. I'm a huge fan of the Think and Grow Rich book as well from Napoleon Hill, but it's, if you have a goal, write it on your bathroom mirror, write it somewhere that you're going to see it every day, put it on your laptop screen, put it somewhere on your cell phone. How many times you pick up your iPhone a day, make it your wallpaper. Where can you see this goal every single day so that you have to have it in your mind?
So you think I don't live this lifestyle? This is my iPhone. Okay. What you don't see on here is it says 2026. It says the #1 headhunter, the top recruiting firm. It has my logo and it has the exact number of placements, the average fee, and the revenue number I want on my phone 24/7. I work away. I'm staring at it right now on the TV in front of me. So when I say about very intentional, how am I going to look at that? Because they say the average person picks up their phone 400 times a day, picks it up.
Yeah, I know.
I am programming my mind that that's my year. That's my year. It's already happened. So I'm not surprised when we get these awards and these accolades and all these things. I expect this. I come from a place that, this is exactly what I outlined, envisioned, and saw. Why would I be surprised?
Yeah, it's exceptional. I think the more I try to talk to people on this show and think about how everyday life doesn't lend itself into business, it kind of drives me crazy, right? Like we're doing this in our everyday lives for the most part. Why would we not reverse engineer this in business as well? Why are we playing a different game just because it's work? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Look, I've done this 24 years, 17 years in one industry too. One industry. I don't play loose. Still to this day, what you don't see is I have green little Post-it notes on my computer. I'll read some of these. I think this will help people. This is what I look at all day long. Expect to win. Stay focused. Always do your own deals, meaning I don't focus just on what the team does. You can't and won't miss. You are the best. Act like it. Do more calls. Touch your clients. Lead the team. I can go on and on. So you can understand, this is not an office. This is a performance center.
Yeah.
This is a performance center. The minute I walk in here, it's on. I'm not here to scroll. I'm not here to mess around. I'm not here to pray, hope, and wish some deals happen. Very intentional, number focused, deliver a high product, play offense, not defense. This is an operating system that, again, more people can control than sitting at a kitchen table and just waiting for a response. Let's see what happens. I know what's going to happen.
I know we both talked about the marathon last weekend, but you can't see I still have in red Sharpie STS on my forearm, which stands for set the standard. It's something I've been saying to myself for 20 something weeks now. Something that I've been using as sort of a guide for this build of just let's set the standard. And for me, it's where I want to be, where I wanted to be on the start line. I think it's turned into something a lot bigger. My 4-year-old randomly the other day said that he wants to run a marathon with me when he's my age. I was like, buddy, first off, stop me, you're making me cry. Second off, I said, I hope I can run a marathon when I'm, 60, whatever at that point. But I had it, I had to put it, right on my forearm. So when things got tough, you're running, you're always looking down, you're looking around everywhere. That was a constant reminder for me. There's these cues that we can give ourselves to continue to show up and continue to, like you said, it's a performance center, continue to perform.
Yeah, look, if you want the truth, I play all kinds of mental mind games with myself. This may sound crazy, but I call it kind of 2 lists. I call it an FU list and a for you list. This is real talk. The FU lists are for people that have doubted me, did me dirty, said anything negative. Fine. I'm going to show you. I'm going to come at your throat and you're going to watch me win at a very high level. Some days I'm going to need to lean into that dark energy to get myself triggered. I want to go on LinkedIn. I want to see someone say something, a competitor. I want to read a comment. I'm going to channel that energy into a good way. On the for you list, this is going to be your family, your kids, your legacy, all the things you're doing it for. To be able to balance those two when I need makes you so dangerous. Some days I'm going to play angry. Some days I'm going to play intentional. And being able to flip that switch when I need, it's game over. I've already won because I know exactly what I'm going to do to control the outcomes.
Is it Kyle Brandt from the NFL Network? Am I getting that name right? Maybe. He calls Josh Allen's run, sometimes he has angry runs. I'm in Buffalo. I don't know if we talked about that ahead of the show. So I'm a big Bills fan over here. I remember Kyle one day saying that's Allen going off on an angry run. And you can tell when he's just trying to get 5 to 7 and he's just trying to move the ball. And you can tell when it's late in the fourth and he puts the team on his back and he puts the whole city on his back. And he goes off on one of these angry runs and he scraps for 11 when we know we only needed 9. And he comes up, he's all bruised and he's going on an angry run. And what I like about the lists that you're talking about is there's times where it's like, listen, man, things can all be great. I know what I'm doing here. And there's other times where you got to put your head down and get to work.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of cases, the average professional is not tapping into that energy 9 to 5.
I don't think so at all. I think people are very distracted. I think they're in their phones. I think they're looking for shortcuts. Again, the basics are there. I think all you really need at the end of the day is a phone and a laptop and what I'm going to call a reason to win. A reason to win. So for me, coming from there is no plan B, there's no one for me to call, no one's coming to save me, no one's bailing me out. Winning was not a nice to have. It was not optional. This was a necessity. When you have to win, you will. When I need to get those 2 yards, guess what? I'm going to fight and crawl to get them. But I'm also now creating a standard and people are paying attention and seeing that. And I'm going to bring people along with me because you've built that trust that, hey, I don't know what it is about this guy, but I'm going to bet on him. That can impact your clients, how candidates look at you. And not only that, but as you scale a team as well, you have to lead by example and lead from the front. You don't think Josh Allen in those moments goes back to the huddle and has buy-in?
100%.
Same in business.
Everyone in that huddle will go to war for that guy.
100%. It's the same in business. Most people don't believe in themselves. How they expect other people to believe in them.
Right. I love that analogy. I think in a lot of cases, we as leaders, as teams, we don't have that huddle mentality. We don't have that, you went to war for me, now I'm going to do the same for you. I think we lose that. And I like the sports analogy. One, I'm a big sports guy, so it makes sense for me to just articulate it that way. But 2, I think we lose that in business because it's just my 9 to 5, man. Like, I'm just going to make my calls. I'm going to send my emails. I hear you guys, but listen, at the end of the day, I don't know, it's almost Friday. And I think a lot of people operate that way, to be honest with you.
Resonated with it. I don't want it around me. I don't speak that language. I remove those people from my life. I want people that are pushing me, thinking big. This is why recently I joined the Pinnacle Society because I wanted to get around the biggest and the baddest billers, right? I don't want to be the number one in every room I go into. I don't want to be that. Put me down the rankings. Let me learn from somebody. Let me compete a little bit and use them. That's the thing too, is that there's always going to be people doing bigger things than you. It's not even me against them. I'm playing mental games, using them to elevate myself and play at a higher level. What one person can do, anybody can do.
Right.
If I see one person out there billing 4 to 5 million by themselves, why can't I? Those are 2 questions everybody has to ask themselves on a consistent basis. Why not you? If not now, when? Answer those for me. Why not you? Why can't you be a 7-figure biller? And if not now, when? Next month, next year, when this happens, new administration, mortgage rates are down. I don't believe in that. You control the outcomes by the inputs and the outputs that you do, black and white. You can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, look at all the coaches, go to so many seminars, go to as many workshops as you want. There's only one person that is going to fix it. You are the problem and you are the solution, black and white.
Speaking my language, I think when we look at getting to a destination, I mean, I've talked about the marathon build now. It's putting in the miles when it's negative degrees in Buffalo, New York. It's putting in the 5 a.m. miles, the weekend miles, whatever it is. It's doing all of this work because you know where you want to get to. I think what's so astonishing in thinking through how that translates to business then is we need to have that inputs and outputs mindset. We need to know what it is that we're doing every day. I love the thought of reverse engineering and working backwards. I don't think we do that enough. I guess my question is, can we develop that mindset? Right. So I think you and I, we're pretty aligned types of people right here. Let's say somebody's listening right now and they're kind of just going through the motions. And right now, they're probably listening to the show because they're looking for that quick hitting advice. They're looking for the tactic that's going to get them to the next level. Maybe they don't have the right mindset they need. Maybe they're just down on their luck right now and they're struggling a little bit mentally, physically, whatever it is. Can you develop the mindset that you're talking about? Or, and maybe it's a blunt question, is staffing and recruiting just not right for that individual?
Look, nothing's easy. Here's all you got to do. Open your bank account. How does it make you feel? Get on the scale. How does it make you feel? Look at your pipeline. Does it feel like there's a good results coming out of that? Go look in the mirror. That's all you need. I don't think people play angry enough and they don't get pissed off enough to know that, hey, enough is enough. Everybody has to have what they call the mirror moment, whether it be physically, financially, emotionally, where you're going to say enough is enough. Enough finger pointing, enough excuses, right? And all you got to remember too, in every single family, there's going to be one person that changes the trajectory, changes belief systems, changes patterns, changes how you travel, where you travel, what you wear, what kind of seats you get at a ball game. One person. Think about what I said earlier. Why not me? If not now, when? You think I play loose? You think I don't play with intention? You think I don't play with an expectation to win and people don't feed off of that and want to work with you? You attract in who you become. It always begins with you.
Friend, this is a good conversation, my friend. I'm glad I got to meet you. I'm glad I got to talk to you. You know, I've been thinking about mindset a heck of a lot, and it goes down a path of, you know, I started the show, actually kind of an interesting note. So we started the show before one of the NAPS annual conferences a couple of years ago, and I learned about the forgetting curve. On my flight to NAPS, I was researching for a talk that I give quite a bit, and I learned about the forgetting curve that shows 1 hour after learning new material, 50% is in one ear and out the other. 1 week after learning new material, 90% is. So we pay to fly our teams to conferences and learn and educate ourselves for 90% of it to be gone this time next week. I had a challenge with that. I said, you know, why are we doing that? So let's sit down and talk to people like yourself, and let's bring those conference caliber speakers to a podcast where people can listen to whenever they want. But I also like to host a show because I get to talk to really cool people who have really cool stories to tell that can challenge mindset, because at the end of the day, I just want to grow and develop too. And I think when we can have a good sit down conversation like this, that's where good things happen. I think you left the audience and you left the listeners with a ton that they can take away right now. And I appreciate you doing that for us.
I think if nothing else, I'm telling you that reverse engineering mindset, because you're already coming from the place that it already happened. Make the numbers smaller, expect to win, work away, operate accordingly. And you come from a place that, though, this is again how we operate and how we expect things to occur. Don't pray, hope, and wish. Don't be surprised when things work in your favor. Create that standard and flip the switch and watch what happens.
A little bit about yourself for the audience, if you want to give your background, your bio, and a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, originally from Northern California. Been doing recruiting for 24 years, came up through the big firm, the MRI network, if you're familiar with it. Focused on construction early on, ran with a person from 09 to 14 that ended abruptly with no heads up, no red flags, just boom, this partnership is done. So I remember being 37 years old with a 1-year-old daughter sitting in a bedroom like, holy smokes, what happens next? I had two options. I bet on myself or I go get a job. That was it. Within 48 hours, I started a company from nothing. And again, I reiterate, nothing. But I had a reason to win and I had a chip on the shoulder like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. Now, here we are 12 years later. You can see some of the accolades and awards behind me. But I mean, we've done this one industry at a very high level for a long time. Started by myself, have scaled out from there. And again, this is just how I operate 12 years later at the same degree. But everything we do is in logistics and supply chain.
Appreciate you. And I'm going to run you through our rapid fire round. One book that's fundamentally changed your life.
The Science of Getting Rich.
Who's that by?
Wallace Wattles.
Why do you like that one?
Because it's a formula. It's a formula on how you operate. It's not foo-foo. It's not nice to have. It really breaks down the fundamentals of how you can get things at a high level.
And you've definitely shared this advice already, but one piece of advice that you would give to somebody just starting in staffing and recruiting today, what would you tell them?
Way more activity than you can ever imagine. More calls, more emails, more touches, more shoulders, more client visits, more Zoom calls, more calendar invites, everything. You control that. But the way that you remove emotion is by having enough things cooking at one given time.
He's Brent Orsuga. Brent, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks again.
Take care.